Hello, I'm Maria Hall Brown, and this is LA Currents. Well, it began in 1934 in the middle of the Depression in order to help celebrate and support Japanese American communities here in Los Angeles. And now, how many years later, it's blossomed into a remarkable festival. The Nisei Week Japanese Festival here in LA. And I'm delighted to be joined by this year's president, David Yamahata, and this year's queen, Kaitlyn Emiko. So nice to have you both here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What a legacy here in Los Angeles to have this Nisei Week. So first of all, I know Nisei means second generation,
Yes.
which is obviously a wonderful thing to celebrate. But at the same time, do you have any idea what the history of the first Nisei Week Festival looked like? What was it? What was the dynamic of that particular year in 1934?
Much more vibrant than what we can do today.
Oh.
Initially, as you indicated, the intent of the festival was to draw people into the Little Tokyo community area to support the local businesses.
Right.
And it was started by the Issei, which was the first generation, as well as the Nisei, which is second generation, to put the festival together and bring people into it. Back in those days, individuals used to dress up in tuxedos, big gowns, ball dresses, and so forth. Over the years, like anything else, things started to taper down a little, but we still have a number of events that people still get to get dressed up, especially our coronation, where we crown our queen. And in that event, if you haven't had an opportunity to see the footage of the coronation, is quite exciting.
So the whole idea of a queen, I think that's really a spectacular element to this. There was a specific reason to have a queen and not a king, true?
Yes. What we wanted to do is give the Japanese American women the opportunity to vie for the queen position on our court. And what we saw was that over the years, a number of our young ladies that participate went on to do a lot of great things. I'm so proud with our current court, the background and qualifications that our young ladies bring, and then they become our ambassadors for the community.
Well, speaking of, obviously, Kaitlyn, you're here. You have a bit of a history with the court in the fact that you were part of the baby pageant many years ago. I'm not going to date you, but what prompted your desire to want to be part of this year's festival? Because I know it actually came as somewhat of a surprise to your family.
Yeah. Well, the Nisei Week Festival includes so many fun events, one of those being the Nisei Week Baby Show. And I will put a date to it. It was exactly 20 years ago that I participated in the baby show. And so it's super special, super full circle for me to be able to be part of the Nisei Week Festival in a whole new meaning this year as this year's queen. And for me, that was my first introduction into Nisei Week. But like David said, I've seen a lot of other young women, family, friends go through the program, and to see how they're able to be involved in the community after being an ambassador for this program has been super inspiring, and that's why I wanted to get involved.
Why was it important to you? What was it about Nisei Week? What was it that, because it's a time commitment, there's definitely, you went through this whole process with the other young women in the court. Why did you want to do it?
Yeah, I grew up playing basketball in the JA community. I grew up going to a lot of the different events, and I would remember seeing the court at these various events and get to represent our community. And so now that I'm in my mid-20s, I really wanted some way to continue being involved and see which ways I want to continue leaving a legacy for our Japanese American community. So that's exactly why I wanted to be involved in this at this current time.
Oh, spectacular. Okay. I know why I asked Kaitlyn why it was important to her, but why is the festival at large important to the Japanese American community here in Los Angeles? What does it mean to the community?
The biggest thing is for us to meet our mission of the Nisei Week Foundation, which is to share the Japanese and Japanese heritage and traditions with the diverse communities of Southern California through arts and cultural education. And we really stress the diverse communities because it's not just for Japanese Americans, it's for anybody that wants to have the opportunity to see about the traditions and the culture of the Japanese.
Are there some particular things that have to take place every single year that are really important elements to this? Obviously the court, but you know, there are other things that must be there, if not ballroom dancing and tuxedos, something else?
Well, we have a number of events that have been traditions since the beginning, not only the coronation, but our parade. It's an opportunity for different dance groups. So we have veterans that come out. We have the Boy Scouts that come out that participate in a parade. We also have different award events that go on during the week, and the awardees have an opportunity to ride in the parade as well. We've actually had some very notable people that have participated in our parade.
Yes, like?
George Takei from Star Trek, Pat Morita from The Karate Kid, Tamlin Tamita was in The Karate Kid too, and she's actually a former queen, which again inspires our young ladies to strive toward becoming a queen on our court and so forth. Also too, Tommy Lasorda was part of our parade. So we've had some very high perspective or very
high-profile people.
High-profile people. And when we announce individuals that are going to be part of the parade, it brings more people out there to come and watch and so forth. In addition, one of our last weekends, it's a 9-day festival, and the first weekend is the coronation and the parade. The second weekend, we have a plaza festival, and then our closing ceremony, which is an opportunity for the public to come out and do Ondo street dancing.
Okay.
You don't have to know how to do it. We have a number of dance groups that will demonstrate or show you, and you kind of follow behind them and follow what they do. It's a highlight of our closing ceremony.
Just I'm curious, what is that particular style of dancing? What does it look like in general? I mean, is it very slow moving? Is it fast moving? Because I don't know, honestly, that I recognize that title.
It's a little combination of both. We do about 12 songs over a course of 2 hours. And there are slow dances and fast dances. We have a choreographer that is in charge of the parade that is selected for the year. And for this particular year, the choreographer has a cat dance.
Oh.
And as you're well aware of in the Japanese culture, you see the cats all the time, in the different stores. And
for luck.
For luck, exactly. And that's why he chose that dance for this particular year, is to try and bring good luck. So if you get a chance, or if we do have it, you'll see a cat dance.
How important was Japanese culture to you growing up as a Nisei?
Yes. So for me, I'm half Japanese, half Chinese, and that is an identity that I'm super proud of. I would say that getting involved in the Japanese American community started when I was very young. I would go to different events here in Little Tokyo and in Orange County, like our Bones. And growing up playing basketball in the JA community, I started to do a bunch of different volunteering events, and it just means a lot to me. It means being involved in a very strong and vibrant community. It means honoring our values and our traditions, and I'm just really honored to be here this year to continue that.
And as ambassador, you'll have responsibilities throughout the entire year, and you're fully employed. I mean, everyone's very excited because you are in a creative position in Apple. Am I correct?
Yes, yes.
So what exactly is your job at Apple? Am I allowed to ask?
Yeah, I'm a product designer at Apple, so I help prototype new experiences, animations, and interactions.
Very fun. But as Queen of Nisei 23, you will actually represent the festival at different events. Is there like a calendar of things that you do? Do you go to community events, children's groups? And I know that you also, did you write a book?
I did. Yes.
Okay. You're making me feel very inadequate as a human right now. So what are some of the things that you're going to be doing as the Queen?
Yeah, so our court is super looking forward to this next stage of what it means to be a part of the Nisei Week court and festival. Some of the things that we'll get to do is visit, or we'll get to attend a lot of the different community events here in Southern California. We also act as the Goodwill Ambassadors for the Nisei Week Foundation and the Japanese American community in Southern California. We'll hopefully have the opportunity to travel to cities abroad and here in the United States, such as San Francisco and Hawaii, and be a part of their festivals as well to help promote Japanese and Japanese American culture.
This is tied actually to other cities. I mean,
Yes.
is there a, sort of a sister city perspective to this?
Exactly. The sister city to Los Angeles in Japan is Nagoya.
Okay.
And they have a festival every October. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, the festival didn't take place, like our festival here did not take place. But this year, we have been invited to Nagoya for their festival. They actually sent a delegation of individuals for our parade, and they participated in our parade. So we're really looking forward to that opportunity to go to Japan, to Nagoya.
So you're president this year, but I am assuming you have been involved with it for a long period of time. What drew you to it, and why are you a part of this event?
That's a good question.
You're wondering why
no.
right now as you're exhausted.
I'm a native Angelino, born and raised in Los Angeles. Grew up on the west side, went to Dorsey High School, attended UCLA, and then joined the fire department and spent 36 and a half years. So Los Angeles has been in my life for my entire adult lifehood and as a child. As a child growing up, my parents brought me to the Nisei Week Festival to enjoy. I grew up with the festival from a young child and enjoying that. As I grew older and became an adult, I felt like it was now my opportunity to give back to the community, and that's why I became a Nisei Week board member. In addition, I have kids, and what I wanted to do is ensure that the Japanese American traditions stayed generation after generation.
So through the years that you've been able to witness, things have, I'm sure, ebbed and flowed and changed. But, you know, what has changed and what has stayed the same, even though we may not be showing up to all events in Tuxes, you mentioned that. And with the pandemic, there was definitely a little pause in the action. But what has stayed and what has been added as new generations have different tastes and thoughts and relationships with their culture?
The cornerstone events that have stayed is Coronation, our parade, our Plaza Festival and closing ceremony, and our award ceremony. Our biggest, one of our biggest priorities is to recognize those individuals that have made contributions to the Japanese American community. And with that, we always want to make sure we recognize those individuals. We actually have two separate award ceremonies. One award ceremony are individuals recognized in the community that are voted by our board. We have another event called the Pioneer Luncheon, in which individuals are actually nominated by the communities throughout Southern California. So you have an opportunity where people get to nominate their people that have made contributions. As you mentioned, with the pandemic, our biggest challenge these days, we're a nonprofit organization that is run totally by all volunteers. Our budget consists of through donations, sponsors, and fundraisers. And as a result of the pandemic, we've lost some of our sponsors due to budgetary challenges and so forth. So that's our biggest challenge these days, is to make sure that we can find enough funding to keep the festival going on year after year.
Yeah, that's a tough one in particular, as you mentioned, because of what's happened with, you know, everybody's shifting of sand in terms of their financial wherewithal. But have you been creative then in that regard, in making something? Obviously, you're young, you're a designer, you're pretty spectacular when it comes to that. Are there creative elements to making the festival attractive to your generation and making sure that it stays vibrant? Is there Are there great photo opportunities for people to take lots of pictures and upload because everybody loves to do that? Is there social outreach? Have you noticed anything in that regard? And that's actually an open question to either of you. Do you feel that you've seen some, like, this generation kind of flair in this particular festival?
One of the things that we've done from a foundation perspective is the media perspective.
Sure.
With technology, TikTok, Instagram, and so forth, and getting the information out to the public. In the past, it's mainly been information in a newspaper or hopefully getting television coverage and so forth. But now with the media exposure, it allows us the ability and opportunity to reach a lot more people in Southern California, which really enhances our festival and so forth. One of the bigger reasons why we have our coronation too is with young ladies, you have that different generation that hopefully entices the younger people to come out. And we're always looking to our younger generation to provide some input in terms of how can we come up with new events that are going to bring the different generations to the festival.
And it's not just you, because you have a court. So what are the other gals that you, young women, excuse me, have been able to get to know? What have you learned from each other? And what do you want to offer Dave and anybody who's going forward in his position, thoughts about the particular festival that you could possibly see would be, you know, a dynamic idea? Mm-hmm. So some of the other gals, and then what you think might, you know, help.
Yeah, I am so inspired by everyone on my court. Everyone is super compassionate. We all have drive, and we all really want to make a difference in our community. So something I've seen this past week as we go visit the various businesses in Little Tokyo and hear about their missions is I'm seeing the eyes light up in every single one of my court members when we're talking about issues such as affordable housing or mental health. And I think that's something that our court has the power to do, is to make a difference in these areas that our community faces. And like David said, like, we have a lot of inspiration to host different initiatives and events for and within our community, and support and outside communities as well.
So the young women in the court, they're from all over Southern California. I mean, you know, they represent a huge swath of geographical space. Have you had a nice time getting to know each other?
Yes, yes. So our training actually began in May. So we've gotten, over the past few months, we've gotten to know each other through our various public speaking trainings, our dance practices, and before or after each training or meeting, we always love to talk and laugh over food. So we've grown very close naturally, and can't wait for future memories.
You just said a magic word, food.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things that I think really draws people at large. So are there special things that are food-based within? Do you notice that the restaurants step it up and have special menus and, you know, celebratory food items that are specifically designed for the Nisei Week?
In the plaza, there's a restaurant or a store called Cafe Dose. He makes a specialty sausage hot dog just for Nisei Week. It's sausage dipped in batter and then fried, and it is awesome to try. And it's only for Nisei Week. The owner, James Choi, does not offer it any time of the year, only for the Nisei Week Festival.
There are some really remarkable opportunities for wonderful Japanese food here in Little Tokyo. Is that not true?
Oh, definitely. There are a number of Japanese restaurants throughout the Little Tokyo area. What we've seen, though, over the years is that there's been a change. Some of the prior residents have unfortunately had to close down and so forth, and we've gotten other types of foods that are in there, which are fine. Having these different types of foods offered in Little Tokyo is just going to hopefully entice more people to come down to Little Tokyo and try it out.
Well, at large, what does Little Tokyo offer? I mean, Nisei Week is a wonderful week to celebrate. It is a terrific opportunity to, you know, to just really take joy in the Japanese American culture. But, you know, this area has a lot of dynamism all year round. So what are some of the highlights of this area that you really enjoy?
There are a number of organizations in the Little Tokyo area that his mission is to interact with the Japanese community. Right in the there's the Japanese American Cultural and Community Center right on San Pedro and near 3rd Street. You have JANM, Japanese American National Museum. You have our Go for Broke Museum. So there's a number of organizations that are open to the public to come down and take a tour and learn a little bit more about the Japanese American heritage.
Okay, so by the way, what did your folks say when you said you were going to do this?
I feel like they were initially kind of shocked. They were like, do you know how much of a time commitment it is? But I think ultimately they've supported and encouraged me throughout my whole life to embrace new opportunities. So
I'm sure they were very, very proud. My daughter, the queen.
Yeah.
And also the book that you wrote. It's a children's book, is it not?
Yeah, it's a children's book that I wrote and illustrated.
And what is the concept of the book? What is the conceit?
So it all started right when the pandemic hit and we all had to start wearing face masks. And I remember my sister came back from school one day and said her teacher's kids were having nightmares that a masked monster was chasing them. And I started to realize that it must be super frightening for kids to not be able to see half of people's faces as they go about in this world, or in the current state of the world. So I wanted to do something about it. I've always loved using my art for a greater good, and I set out to write and illustrate a children's book to be used as a resource for parents and teachers to be able to normalize face masks in this society and show. I illustrated some cute animals and going about doing things like going to the doctor's office or the playground. So just showing kids that they can still have fun while wearing their face masks was my goal.
What's it like for you, David, to get to know this remarkable, I mean, we're sitting here with Kaitlyn, but there, as you said, you have how many people in the court other than yourself?
7 total.
7 total. This generation of compassionate, intelligent, and very community-oriented individuals. What is that like for you to see this Nisei?
As you indicated, I feel very inadequate. When you look at the accomplishments of these young ladies, I mean, they have masters. We have actually 2 people working on their PhDs. You know, people like that. It's actually, again, very exciting for me to be part of it. As a president, they're my court. I've adopted 7 new daughters for the year and hopefully beyond that. The nice thing too is getting an opportunity to meet their parents, the ones that are behind it, because it's the parents that need to support. As you indicated, it's a very busy year for them, and they need that support from their families to make sure that they can be successful throughout the year in attending the different events.
And who else is on your foundation board, by the way? Who are the community members? How are you gathering them?
Our board is made up of 24 members currently right now. From all walks of life, we have a number of individuals that were former court members, so it provides that historical background and insight in terms of the pros and cons of the festival itself. Again, as I stated earlier, we're all volunteers. We have no paid employees, but we all want to try and meet the same mission for the community.
And speaking of the community, you know, there have been some difficult moments in a lot of Asian American experiences here in the United States for a number of reasons, and it's not isolated, but it's also, but how does this affect people's mood and temperament and feeling about celebrating their culture? Is this a healing process as well as a celebratory one, or is this an opportunity for people to share their experiences? What are you hearing from people who have attended?
I think it's an opportunity for individuals from all Asian cultures to come together and join together as one solidarity. Because we all go through the same thing. As you probably watched on the news, unfortunately, most people can't tell the difference between somebody who's Japanese, Chinese, Korean, or whatever. So as a result, you saw individuals from all Asian cultures getting attacked. And so you have the same message that's going on throughout all of the Asian communities in terms of banding together, getting that one message out, that looking out for our own safety and the safety of all our people.
Right. But this is also, you know, an opportunity for people to take joy. And what are you hearing from a positive point of view of people who have attended and who get a chance that, you know, maybe just don't really focus on it during the rest of the year, but this is a chance to really focus on it? Are you hearing good news and good things?
Oh, definitely. Again, as a result of the pandemic, our festival was shut down for 2 years. Last year was our first year we brought the festival back. In terms of having the parade and coronation and some of our other events. And it was so exciting and welcoming to see so many people come out for it. This year, again, we're getting closer to normalcy. As the country is dealing with the pandemic, with COVID and everything else, people are feeling much more comfortable in terms of coming out into the open. My theme for this year was turning the corner. Yeah. Hopefully making that turn to back to normalcy to allow more people to come out, feeling comfortable to come out and so forth. People you talked to were so happy that we had our festival, our parade again, to have that ability to come out, and also individuals that first-timers to come down and have that opportunity to observe our parade, observe our different events and so forth.
And learn a new dance.
Yes.
Learn a new dance. What's been your favorite part? Do you have one, or is it just a big melee of magic?
Everything. I think what I'm most excited for is to see the growth that me and my fellow court members will be able to experience over this next year and beyond. And my favorite part has honestly been bonding with my fellow court members. So.
And do you wear your crown to work?
I wish.
What have they said at work, by the way? Did you actually say, "I'm sorry, you have to call me Queen Kaitlyn now"?
They kind of joke about it. They're like, "Oh, like Your Highness," but it's just been very heartwarming to get their support and encouragement, especially in all different parts of my life, whether it be work, family, friends, etc.
Oh, that's so good. And if people want to learn more about Nisei Week, you know, whether they're seeing this while it's going on or whether they've just missed it or they want to participate next year, or if they want to help you in a number of ways, what's the best way for them to learn about this wonderful festival?
And thank you for asking, Maria, because we're always looking for volunteers, supporters, new sponsors, and so forth. And they can find more information on our website. That's niseiweek.org. That's Nisei Week, which is NISEI week.org.
Okay. Well, congratulations. And I can't wait to see all of the wonderful things that you are doing this year and next.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
And that's a wrap on this LA Currents.